First, so let's go live to the central coast of New South Wales. My colleague Andrew Clennell doing another one of his seat profiles and door knocking with the local candidate. Very interesting information you've picked up there. We'll get to that in a moment, Andrew. First of all, I want to get your thoughts, and we should discuss this high inflation number raising the prospect now of a rate rise during the campaign. The last time that happened, 2007, of course, which saw Kevin Rudd brought into office.
Yes, that is indeed the case. I think it'll be short odds now for a rate rise next week. How could the Reserve Bank argue independence otherwise? Having said that, 2007, very different campaign. Kevin Rudd was well ahead already, even before that sort of came into play. This is a much more even race, but you could see the government was bracing for this today. They had the argument that the rest of the world is suffering these inflationary effects from supply chains and the like. They're ready for the interest rates rise as well, but it all takes momentum out of their campaign, particularly when Scott Morrison's opening line in every press conference of this campaign has been, "We are the superior ones on the economy." He can point to the unemployment rate and argue that, but this inflation rate, while a bit lower than other developed countries, isn't that much lower. It's 5%. A lot of countries around 6 or 7%. So let's hear Scott Morrison and Josh Frydenberg on this today, on the various reasons around it, why it's not their government's fault, if you like.
This is the expectation on inflation. So this already factors in an Australian inflation rate, potentially of what the markets are estimating at about 4.5% in Australia. And what you can see here is, yes, there are inflationary pressures in all the major economies around the world. You can see in the United States up over 8%. Economies in Germany, the United Kingdom, and indeed in New Zealand and Canada up around the 7% mark. But there's Australia performing better than all of them when it comes to cost of living pressures around similar economies and advanced economies around the world.
Australia's economic recovery has been faster and stronger than all of the major advanced economies. In the United States, there are 1.5 million fewer Americans in work today than since the start of the pandemic. Yet in Australia, there are 400,000 more Australians in work today since the start of the pandemic. And only recently, the global economic outlook was downgraded, yet the Australian economic outlook was upgraded by the international bodies. That goes to the inherent resilience and strength of the economy.
So I spoke to another senior minister, Peter Dutton, on Sunday Agenda, and I spoke to him about the spectre of this rate rise. So here's the coalition argument. If the economy's hunky-dory and those economic indicators like inflation, unemployment, interest rates are in a good position, that's because you've got a coalition government. But if the numbers are going bad, you need a coalition government because they're the ones who are going to be in the best position to fix things. Do you expect a rate rise in May?
I think if you look at what's happening in the United States at the moment, where inflation's at 7%, a similar story in parts of Europe, I think we need to really be realistic about the economic risks on the horizon, and that's why there's only one side of politics that can deal with whatever is coming next in the economy, whatever shock and difficulty is coming next. Scott Morrison, the Liberals and Nationals will be able to deal with it. And if there's a rate rise, I mean, that's an issue for the Reserve Bank Governor, but we've put in place settings that don't put pressure on interest rates, and yet Labor always does when they jack up debt.